Hello, how are you? How is everyone doing? Good afternoon. I don't know about where you are, but here in lovely Baltimore, Maryland, we've got a cool, rainy day. We need the rain, so no complaints there, especially if I want my herb garden to grow. So anyway, I'm indoors, so it doesn't much matter, does it? No. So, welcome to Beatles Significa. This tour is named after a card game, a deck of cards called Beatles Significa. Um, this is the 1980s card game. It was a game for two or more players. 832 questions about the Beatles and answers as well. So, a good source for information. You know, with Beatles trivia, it's something that you're always learning. There's always something that you didn't know, especially when you think you know quite a bit. There's always something else. I'm going to do something a little special today. We will get to our trivia questions in a few minutes. But first, I came across this book of mine. It is Skywriting by Word of Mouth by John Lennon. This book was published in, hang on, I'll tell you when, 1980. So, well, it was published in 1986. Don't know when he wrote it. I would think probably through the years coming up, but in 1986, Yoko gathered all John's little stories and drawings, and Skywriting by Word of Mouth was born. So I just wanted to read you the opening story. The book's divided into several parts: the Ballad of John and Yoko, Two Virgins, an alphabet, and then Skywriting by Word of Mouth, followed by an afterword by Yoko. Anyway, I'm going to read the first part of this because I think it's kind of interesting and nice to hear from John in his own words after so long. The background music you're listening to, by the way, is John Lennon's Mind Games. Okay. Just a tad louder. Okay, here we go. I'd always had a fantasy about a woman who would be a beautiful, intelligent, dark-haired, high cheekbone, free-spirited artist. My soulmate. Someone that I had already known but somehow had lost. After a short visit to India on my way home from Australia, the image changed slightly. She had to be a dark-eyed Oriental. Naturally, the dream couldn't come true until I had completed the picture. Now it was complete. Of course, as a teenager, my sexual fantasies were full of Anita Ekberg and the usual giant Nordic goddesses. That is, until Bridget Bardot became the love of my life in the late 50s. All my girlfriends who weren't dark-haired suffered under my constant pressure to become Bridget. By the time I married my first wife, who was, I think, a natural auburn, she too had become a long-haired blonde with the obligatory bangs. Met the real Bridget a few years later. I was on acid and she was on her way out. I finally met Yoko and the dream became a reality. The only woman I'd ever met who was my equal in every way imaginable. My better, actually. Although I'd had numerous interesting affairs in my previous incarnation, I'd never met anyone worth breaking up a happily married state of boredom for. Escape at last, someone to leave home for, somewhere to go. I'd waited an eternity. Since I was extraordinarily shy, especially around beautiful women, my daydreams necessitated that she be aggressive enough to save me, to take me away from all of this. Yoko, although shy herself, picked up my spirits enough to give me the courage to get the hell out, just in time for me to avoid having to live with my ex-wife's new nose. She had had side interests, much to the surprise of my pre-liberated male ego. They got the new nose, and I got my dream woman, Yoko. Having been brought up in the genteel poverty of a lower middle class environment, I should not have been surprised by the outpouring of race hatred and anti female malice to which we were subjected in that bastion of democracy, Great Britain, who Great Britain, including the now reformed Michael Caine, who said something through his cute Cockney lisp to the effect that I can't see why you don't find a nice English girl. What a riot. One of our boys leaving his Anglo-Saxon hearth and home and taking up with a bloody Jap to boot. Doesn't he know about the bridge on the River Kwai? Doesn't he remember Pearl Harbor? The English press had a field day venting all their pent-up hatred of foreigners on Yoko. It must have been hard for them, what with the common market and all. They had to lay off hating frogs, wogs, clogs, crowds, and eye ties, in print that is, not to mention the jungle bunnies. It was humiliating and painful for both of us to have her described as ugly and yellow and other derogatory garbage, especially by a bunch of beer-bellied, red-necked, aging hacks. You are what you eat and think. We know what they ate and are told what to think, their master's leftovers. And so it goes, the Ballad of John and Yoko. I thought it would be fun to give you a little insight into the mind of John Lennon. All right, that being done, time for trivia. Yes. All right, let's see. Shall we select a card? Yes. A random card. Right there is one. Okay. Are we ready? Hi. Is anybody else out there? Yo, is anybody home? I have such a tiny space here. Maybe I should, maybe I should have, let me see something. Nope, that's not it. I was going to see, maybe I should, that's all right. I'll figure it out. Okay, question number 1. Paul describes meeting John at age 14. I was a fat schoolboy, and as he leaned on my shoulder, I realized he was blank. Paul describes meeting John at age 14. I was a fat schoolboy, and as he leaned on my shoulder, I realized he was what? A tick-a-tock-a, tick-a-tock-a, tick-a-tock-a. Tick-tock. Any suggestions? Any guesses? I don't have a one. So let's get the answer then, shall we? Okay. Paul describes meeting John at the age of 14. I was a fat schoolboy, and as he leaned on my shoulder, I realized he was drunk. The answer is drunk. Interesting. That, by the way, is from that appears in the introduction of another of John Lennon's books entitled "In His Own Right." Question 2. On the first visit to the U.S., the Beatles performed in what three cities? What three cities did the Beatles play on their first visit to the U.S.? Kitty, kitty, what are you doing? My cat's in the box next to me. Okay, so three cities. I know two. New York and Washington, D.C. What was the third? Was it San Francisco? Shall we find out? Anybody know? Anybody want to guess? Okay. New York, Washington, and Miami. It was Miami, the third city. Okay. I probably knew that once upon a time. A long time. Okay, question number 3. Oh, hold on a sec. This is John and Yoko. Can you hear that? This is the flag of Utopia. We surrender. Okay. Question number 3. Sometimes he's a double-tracked. Let's see. Sometimes he's double-tracked, sometimes not. But who provides all the vocals on "And I Love Her"? That's a interesting question. Sometimes he's double-tracked, sometimes not. But who provides all the vocals on "I Love Her"? I'm going to say Paul. Anybody want to say anything different? Okay. The answer is Paul. Ta-da! Very good. Question 4. What amplifier brand name is most closely associated with the Beatles? What amplifier brand name is most closely associated with the Beatles? Anybody know? Like, does anybody pay attention to the brand name on the amplifier when the Beatles are playing music? No, we're looking at them. So the answer is Vox. A VOX. See, learn something new every day. Bet you didn't know that. Which Lennon-McCartney song starts, "Late yesterday night, I saw a light shine from a window"? Oh my goodness. Okay, Lennon and McCartney composition here. The song starts, "Late yesterday night, I saw a light shine from a window." I am clueless. I have no idea. None at all. Nope. Don't know. No. No. Okay, so what is the answer? The answer is "From a Window." I'm not familiar with that song, "From a Window." Oh, wait a minute, I'm not. Okay. Didn't recognize that because I didn't know that. "From a Window." Okay. In October of 1963, the Beatles received a fantastic reception at London Airport. They were returning from a tour of what country? In October 1963. The Beatles received a fantastic reception at London Airport. They were returning from a tour of what country? Well, I want to say the US because wasn't that in 1963? No, it wasn't. That was in 1964. I don't know what country they were coming back from. Do you? Nope. I guess we better find out then. Sweden. That was way back in the beginning because they didn't come to America until February of 64. So, yeah. All right, next question. Which Beatle has the most prominent vocal on Flying? A song entitled Flying. Really? I don't know that one. Which Beatle has the most prominent vocal on Flying? Anyone? Well, it's Ringo, in case you wondered. In case you didn't know, it's Ringo. All right, British Beatlemania dates from what year? British Beatlemania dates from what year? We're going to say 1963, right? Because that's what it is, 1963. Definitely. Okay, let's look at the card. There's questions on the other side as well, so let's check these out. All right, so what generally happened when the Beatles played Hully Gully in Liverpool ballrooms? What generally happened when the Beatles played Hully Gully in Liverpool ballrooms? That's a good question. Does anybody have the answer to that one? Well, then, we better find out. Fights broke out. When the Beatles played Hully Gully in Liverpool ballrooms, fights broke out. Isn't that special? Okay, what bluesy Carl Perkins number was popular with Liverpool drummers? Both Pete Best and Ringo sang it with the Beatles. What bluesy Carl Perkins number was popular with Liverpool drummers? Both Pete Best and Ringo played the song when playing with the Beatles. Tick tock, does anybody know? Oh, somebody's from Brazil. We've got somebody that's British. Brazil. So that's cool. So we've got Britain, Brazil, and America. We are international. But then so are the Beatles, right? Okay. Next, a question. Paul wrote a song for Pete Best to sing called The Pinwheel blank. Paul took over the drums while Pete did his chubby checker routine. Let me read that again. Paul wrote a song for Pete Best to sing called The Pinwheel something, The Pinwheel blank. Paul took over drums while Pete did his chubby checker routine. So the pinwheel must have something to do with the twist. Was there such a song as the pinwheel twist? I don't know. I don't know. They got me stumped again, right? Any other guesses out there? You love America. Yeah, I do too. But you know what else? I really love Ireland. I'm Irish. I love to go to Ireland. That's a really gorgeous place. Okay, I like Britain too. I've been there. Not Brazil though. I haven't been to Brazil. Okay, where are we? Oh, right. What the song was? Pinwheel. Ha! Pinwheel twist. I was right, and I was just making it up. I was just guessing. But there actually was a song called Pinwheel Twist. I'll be darned. Interesting. Okay, here's another fill in the blank thingy. Fill in the Fill in the song title. I hear that love is planned. How can I understand when someone says to me, oh my goodness, some of these are hard, right? So fill in the song title. I hear that love is planned. How can I understand when someone says to me, dot, dot, dot? Anybody know? Anybody know? That's interesting. Okay, what is the song title? I don't want to see you again. Okay. I don't want to see you again was that title. Interesting. All right, next up. Who did some of the filming for Magical Mystery Tour and was credited as director of photography? Who did some of the filming on Magical Mystery Tour and was credited as director of photography? Okay, I got to take another wild guess here because I don't think it's so wild, but I think Ringo. I think Ringo was taking pictures and had to do with the filming and the direction, maybe. But I would guess that it was Ringo who did some of the filming for Magical Mystery Tour and Ringo who got credit as the director of photography. Shall we see? Up. Yep, Ringo. It was Ringo. It says Richard Starkey, MBE. Okay. Richard Starkey, member of the Royal Empire. Okay. Next, a question. Who originally wrote and recorded When I Get Home? Who originally wrote and recorded When I Get Home? Anyone? It was a Lennon-McCartney composition. Say hello to Brazil. I'm from Rio de Janeiro. Ah, very cool. Maybe I will get there someday. I love visiting different places and such. Okay. Da, 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 da. Next, the question is, okay, right. Who originally wrote and recorded When I Get Home? That would be, okay, the Beatles, okay. Lennon McCartney collaboration there, okay. On March 24th, 1962, at Boston Women's Institute, what was different about the Beatles show? On March 24th, 1962, at Barnston Women's Institute, what was different about the Beatles show? I didn't know the Beatles performed at prisons. That was very kind of them. Ah, they wore suits for the first time. Huh, interesting. The first time they wore suits was when they played at Barnston's Women's Institute. I'm supposing it's a prison in England. Okay. Next question. Identify the song Baby, Now You're Moving Way Too Fast. Ooh, 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 ooh. Baby, now you're moving way too fast. I know this. Baby, now you're moving. Oh, come on. I know the song. I know the line. I can hear the music in my head. Baby, now you're moving way too fast. Oh, oh, oh. It'll come to me. But do we want to sit here that long and wait? No. Okay. The answer is slow down. That was easy. Slow down. You're moving way too fast. Oh, my goodness me. Oh, my goodness me. Okay. Let's, we finished the card there, so let's grab another here. Let's see if I can see something from a different series. Oh, well, let's do this one. Okay. All right, T-Roo. Complete John's rhyme from the Let It Be movie. Complete John's rhyme from the Let It Be movie. Isadora Duncan worked at. Isadora Duncan worked at. Isn't that a song? Isadora Duncan worked at. What's the song, folks? Come on, come on. No. Isabella Duncan worked at Telefunken. Isadora Duncan worked at Telefunken. That's John, all right. In what song does John sing, I pray more each day, for we love you, Mr. Moonlight? Yeah, I gave it away, Mr. Moonlight, right? Yeah, what song does John sing, I pray more each day? Okay, next question. George Martin at the Beatles' first recording session. If there's anything you don't like, tell me. George Harrison said, well, for a start, I don't like your. Read it again. George Martin was at the first recording session with the Beatles. He says to them, if there's anything you don't like, tell me. So George Harrison pops up and says, well, for a start, I don't like your. Does anybody know? I know. Another one I just happen to know. Well, for starters, what did George say? He said, well, for a start, I don't like your tie. He didn't like George Martin's tie. George Harrison did not approve of George Martin's tie. Okay. Interesting. The organ-like keyboard instrument with metal reeds heard, for example, on the word, and we can work it out, is called what? The organ-like keyboard instrument with metal reeds heard on the word, and we can work it out, is called what? What is the name of that instrument with the metal reeds? The name is harmonium. Harmonium, harmonium. That's a Wings song, but that's the name of the instrument. Huh? Okay, what else? And the Magic Christian movie, Ringo orders what in an elegant restaurant? What does Ringo order in an elegant restaurant at the in the Magic Christian movie? What was that he ordered? It was Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies. Okay, Ringo, Rice Krispies. All right. Which song fades out with a repetition of you gotta wait a minute, oh yeah. Oh my goodness, I knew the answer to this one. What song fades out with a repetition of you gotta wait a minute, oh yeah, wait a minute, oh yeah, Mr. Postman, look and see. Mr. Postman. Yeah, please, Mr. Postman is the answer to that one. Yes, indeed. In the Let It Be movie, who is shown helping Ringo work out his new song, Octopus's Garden? Okay, in the Let It Be movie, who is helping Ringo work on his song, Octopus's Garden? Anybody know? I would say it's George Harrison that helped Ringo work on Octopus's Garden. Okay, our last question. Our last question. What song on the Capitol Rubber Soul album has two acoustic guitar false starts. That is interesting. What song on Rubber Soul has two false starts with the acoustic guitar? Same song, two false starts. The false starts must have been planned to go with the music. And we'll know what that is as soon as we look at the answer, since nobody seems to know it here. The answer, I'm looking through you. Yep, yep, definitely. I'm looking through you. I hear it in my head. Oh, Lord. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Beatles Significa, Beatles trivia, if you will. Um, for For more information about my tours, I do trivia, I do mysteries. I go out and about the Chesapeake Bay area to some really cool places. You can come along anytime. Follow me on Facebook. I am there as the Bay Lady. And you can find me, you can find my YouTube channel. That would be Sharon Schultz, the Bay Lady. And that's where I post info on my tours and where you can find several links to watch my tours. There is also a link on there for Buy Me a Coffee, which is how you can support my content and keep us going here. So thank you in advance for joining our next tour coming up. You'll have to check my pages to find out when that is. Thanks. Bye.